Page 58, chord jumps. We're kind of getting in really heavy here on the theory. So if you're not getting this, if you're confused or whatever, this is another good point to go back through the whole book, everything, review all the lessons again. You really need to be understanding this stuff because we're just going to get deeper and deeper. So let's talk the key is C major, the primary chords. You already know that C major has no sharps or flats. It's just the white key on the piano. We go C to C somewhere. I don't care where it is. And every key has three primary chords. The three main chords are you use the most or you already know. Do you know? I don't know if you know or not. But we better explain that too because I can't assume you know this. Sit down and relax. Let's go through this. C major. And it applies to any key, but we're using C major as the example. Every note in the key is numbered. The first one, the name of the key, C major is a C. That's step one. We call them steps. Step one. So we don't start with 0, we start with 1. And it just go up. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And then when you get to 8, that's 1 again. Okay, so 1 through 7. They're all numbered. The primary chords are the numbers shown. They're Roman numerals. We have a lot of numbers in music, written music, so when we're dealing with chord numbers, they do Roman numerals and they put them underneath the staff. So the I is Roman numeral for 1, and that is the chord built on step 1 of the scale. And if the chord, we're talking triads, and remember it's every other note. So step 1 of the scale, and then every other note. Triad is 3 notes. That's the chord. It's a C chord. You've had it before. Well, it is a 1 chord in the key of C. It's always a C chord. It doesn't matter what the key signature is, or the key is. But it's a 1 chord in the key of C. Well, the primary chords are the 1, 4, and the 5. So we just got to do the 4 and the 5, or the 5, 7, and we got them. So we got the 1. We do the 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, so that would be the chord built on the 4th step of the scale. 1, 2, 3, 4. Every other note for 3 notes. It's an F chord. Think we've had F chords before? Well, in the key of C, it's a 4 chord. And we generally don't use this arrangement. We'll put the C on the bottom. It's still an F chord or a 4 chord in the key of C. The idea is if I'm here and I want to go to the F4 chord, then I just go, that stays. I just go here. It's an easy switch. That's why we use that arrangement. We're not moving the hand around. So the 4 chord. Then we do the 5, 7. Well, okay, first do the 5 and then we'll figure out the 7. In the key of C, we go to the 5th step of the key, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and we build our chord on that. That would be the 5 chord. It's a G chord. Now we got to do is add the 7th. And what we do with the 7th is we simply add 1 more note. Skip a note, go up. There's 4 notes in this one. Every other note, the bottom note tells you the name of the chord, a G, and we've added the 7th, so it's a G7. In the key of C, it is a 5, 7. Because that's a 5 chord, and I add the 7th, it's a 5, 7. Lost you yet? Well, hang on there, I'm not done. I don't want to, in playing it, I don't want to be going from here to here, whatever, I don't know where to do it. So we rearrange the notes slightly. Now, I don't have to use all 4 notes. And since I'm using 3 notes in these other chords, I want to use 3 notes here, so I'm going to leave out a note. Which note? Good question. I can leave out either of the inner 2 notes, these notes. I can leave out either one. I got to have the top and bottom because that's what identifies it as a 7 chord. If I don't have that, I don't have a 7 chord anymore. I got a 5 chord. So I got to have that note, and I need the bottom note that tells me the name of the chord. But I can leave out either of these, and we do. In some cases you leave out one, in other cases you leave out the other. To start with, we're going to leave out the D. We're going to do this. And I'm going to put the G on top. So I'll put the G on top. And it's this arrangement. You see, that way I can go from the C chord to the 5-7 chord or the G7 chord without moving the hand. So I got all three of these chords without moving my hand around. So the 1, the 4, the 1, the 5-7, the 1. It's all right there. You'll see them a lot in music. You'll learn to just recognize them as a chord, so you're not thinking about 3 notes, what are they? You'll just see, oh, it's a C chord, or an F chord, or a G7 chord, or whatever. You'll recognize it. That's what we're talking about here on chord jumps. Ugh. So it starts out here in the left hand, here. Then you have to jump up here. Just lift up and move. They give you a staccato to help you out. Of course, when I first learned it, I don't do staccatos. I try and connect everything. You can't connect it, but you get as close as you can. And G chord, and then the 7th we're going to play with the right hand, and then C chord. Yeah, to here. But his left hand's moving around here. That's kind of neat. I'm not going to do a play with me on this. You can do the chord jumps. That's all we're doing is putting the staccatos. And you repeat it. That's all it is. And you see the Roman numerals underneath and the chord names are above. Now, a lot of times they'll give you the chord names above the music, and when they do that, that's usually a good time for if you have a guitar player around somewhere, they can read those chord names above the music and improvise, and you can play duets together that way. That can be fun if you get along with the guitar player. It's fun. But here, look at chord jumps underneath. You see the 1 chords? That's the 1. And you have the 4 chord here, second measure. And then the 3rd measure, you have a 5 chord. Then we add the 7th, so now we got a 5-7 chord. Doesn't matter which hand plays what. You have to consider everything together on this, and that is the 5-7 chord, the whole thing, and then back to the 1 chord. So you understand what's going on here. It's important because we are going to get deeper in this, so please understand this part.